Hi, my name is Lisa Fedunik, and today I'll be sharing a video about videos in communication technology. Specifically, I'm looking at when you are using your webcam to deliver a lesson in online learning. So we're going to learn about how to take a good webcam video, some of the properties, and also some research behind why we would use videos in web-based education. Begin with, you should be able to see my screen. I'm using the Zoom app and the screen sharing and record functions. So the reason that I'm sharing my screen with you is some of the same reasons you would use video in online learning. First of all, when you have a video, when you have something moving on the screen, it's more likely to attract attention. So to get this same information in a printed form, maybe just written on a website, something like that, you might find that your attention would wander a little bit more because you're looking at the same static image, reading along with your eyes. But your attention span will actually increase when you have something moving on the screen. So for example, when I am screen sharing with you, you can see me flip to the sides, but also I can pause my screen share and you will see me as a full image here. Or you'll see the freeze frame depending on what kind of screen sharing we're doing. This is good because then you can watch me as I annotate things. I could include a video, things like that, that again will get some more attention through movement. So another good thing about using specifically the Zoom app is that you can draw. So now we have looked at attention span, which is some research from Brain. And you can see my very, very long check mark there. The next thing that we're going to talk about is our multiple modalities. Whew. So I would suggest getting a mouse when you're trying to do some of the annotation here. Your multiple modalities is when you're looking at things like students who prefer to hear information, and that helps them with reading. There's also students who could prefer to see information written down, so you can see here. Or again, with this annotation, it's really great if you wanted to draw a diagram. So I could draw a little diagram about how I hope you're feeling about this presentation so far. But more importantly, I could draw things like anatomical diagrams, or I could put up a picture and annotate and teach to it. So again, there's movement for the attention span, but also the multiple modalities of students can learn in different ways, and video can really help you achieve that. Another thing from, again, Brain is she found in her research that with using both visual and audio modes, students end up processing and retaining information a lot better than if you just relied on one, so just speaking and no video, no movement, nothing, or just the other, where you would just have diagrams and you wouldn't explain them in just written texts and a couple diagrams. So those are some of the reasons why it's good to use videos. Now, what will you need? Oh, got to get the eraser out here. Get rid of that. So what will you need to create videos for online learning? Well, preferably it'd be a private setting. Right now, I am in one of the group study rooms in the university, the one that has two windows right on the corner, very nice and bright. You'll need a computer, of course. You could use a tablet or a cell phone if you'd like, but the computer is just a little bit better for the editing. Many times, not always, but many times you'll need an internet connection because sometimes you can live stream. So another thing is a webcam with a front-facing camera. So here you can see me, I can annotate, you can see my expression, which also helps if you wanted to make a joke in the lesson, because if you smile, they'll know you're probably not being rude or facetious. So it's good for the students to see your expression, to be able to get that connection there, and to see that there's a consistent person on the other side of the screen, that this is the resident expert that's trying to teach you. You're going to need some audio playing and recording equipment. In my case, I'm just using the audio that came with my computer. It's fairly good audio. You could also get headsets, things like that. But for right now, I'm just going to stick with what my computer comes with to give you a most accurate beginner's representation of taking webcam videos. And you'll need some memory space. Video files can be fairly large. You're going to want to store that on your computer so that you don't end up mid-upload your internet no longer works and now you don't have a video at all. You should save it in a cloud with an internet connection or on your computer if possible. So now let's talk about what makes a good video. First of all, preparedness. I'm not walking around the room grabbing things. I'm not shuffling papers around. I'm mostly keeping my attention on you, on the webcam itself, as well as on the PowerPoint I'm presenting with my screen sharing. So preparedness is the first thing. Lighting as well. We'll get into that in later slides. Audio, you have to make sure that you can be heard. You can also sometimes set it up so that you get like words as you're saying them, so like a caption, closed captioning. Your field of view, we'll get into that again. How much students can see, whether they can see you, what angle they're seeing you at, and also there's some additional information about screen sharing and the editing of videos. So preparedness. First of all, you have to have the materials ready and open for you. So I have a little bit of notes here so that I know where I'm going. I can see what I can touch on later on. So I don't get too ahead of myself, but I also don't end up repeating myself, hopefully, too much. Then I'm not shuffling papers, and that can be really distracting. Or if I'm fluttering around, like if I find out my computer's dusty and then I swipe here. Well, now you guys have all just seen my hand in front of my video recording. And you have to make sure to test all of the recordings. The best way to do this is to take just a short recording to make sure that the internet connection, lighting, and audio are all working. If you don't have the internet connection and the audio and lighting are working, that's fine. Just make sure you have the memory space to save it to your computer before you upload it later. Lighting. So we'll give you some good and bad examples of lighting. First of all, you shouldn't really have the overhead light shining straight down on your head. Unless you're trying to narrate an episode of Goosebumps, you don't really want that kind of gallow face where you get those crazy cheekbones and you look like you're telling ghost stories. So to avoid that, I am in a room that has not one, but two windows. By having two windows, I can increase the amount of natural light I have, which creates a more appealing image, I suppose. That way you aren't, again, having those shadows, or you can actually see the subject that's speaking to you. The window light's the best. If not, you can try and use an LED that kind of fills it in a little bit. Most of the time you get your fluorescents that kind of give you a bit of a washed out appearance. So you can always move lights around, move subject around, try and mix it up. So let's say I move my lighting here. It gives you a little bit better view of my face. So you can see things just a little bit better. Whereas if I am moving it so that I'm backlit, you can still see my face, but it ends up decreasing the effectiveness. You kind of focus more so on the light that's behind me. So I played around with my light, and this is kind of where I'm comfortable with it, where I feel like you can see me the best. So we made sure that we had no overhead lights. We made sure that the light subject, because it's around lunchtime, the sun is in the highest, so that's good. And window light, I made sure to come to the place where I thought there'd be the most windows in the university. And then I have moved around my computer, and I've moved myself around a little bit, and this is where I think I could get the best light for my video. So then let me just get rid of Selene's check marks here. After you figure out the lighting, make sure that you can see that your audience can see you properly. The next one is your audio. So you want to try and keep it a conversational style. If you get a little too technical, a little too flat, a little too structured, you won't be able to maintain the student engagement according to Brain. And then you have to make sure that the audio is clear to reduce the cognitive load. So right now, earlier in the video, you saw I kind of looked behind me. Someone had entered the room next to the study room. That's something that could distract you from what I'm saying, because you're thinking about, oh, like, who's going into the study room, or what was that noise? trying to figure things like that out. And that decreases the amount that you're learning from this video, and instead you're focusing on all the background noise. So you want to reduce that, find a private, quiet area that hopefully has very few distractions. Now we have field of view, which, if you haven't noticed already, is a bit of a struggle with this video. When I bought my laptop, I didn't really think about recording videos with the webcam. I don't really use it too much. But I notice now that I've recorded videos that my webcam is actually on the bottom. So what you see there is my keyboard. So for most of this video, you've kind of seen an upward shot of me. Ideally, if you are messing around with your field of view, it would be best to have your subject fairly close, but not so much that that's all you're seeing. You want it about eye level with the webcam. So then you see me mostly kind of looks like I'm looking off of the camera, but it's just because of where my webcam is situated. The other thing is you want to keep the background sparse. So behind me, you can see it's just a TV, and you probably caught a glimpse of the whiteboard there, but it's not like I have a huge mural or that I have movement behind me, like if there was a busy road or people walking through a hallway behind me. It's a static background. So again, this reduces your cognitive load. This makes it so that you're not focusing on much more other than what I'm saying and what I'm showing you. All right. Well, next time I'll get a stack of books, something like that, to make the field of view better. The last one that you are second last one, sorry, that you're very familiar with is screen sharing. So it's an opportunity to signal important information. So if you are a student, a learner that gets very overwhelmed if people are talking and talking and talking, and you feel like you just can't keep up, this is a way to signal important information. So for example, here on this screen share that you're seeing, you can see that it's signaling important information, but it's also allowing for that pictorial and audio processing. So it makes it more, it increases the ability to take information from your working memory and put it into your long-term memory. So that's the reason why I'm using screen sharing, is you're able to track with me what I'm saying. You're still able to see my expressions, and at any time, I can pause the screen share, or I can stop the screen share, so then you'll just see the video. At the end, you'll see, I'll end the screen share. It'll come up with me as a full video, and for longer videos like full lessons, it'd be better to go between not screen sharing and screen sharing. Okay. Editing. You don't really want to make your videos more than 6 minutes long. Brain found that at 6 minutes, almost all of the users were engaged. But at 9 minutes, only 50% remained engaged in the video. So 6 minutes is kind of what you want to shoot for. If you have 9 minutes, well, that's a little too far. A lot of your users will end up being disengaged. And again, when you're going through and editing, you want to edit out that background noise if you weren't able to find a quiet space, and try and get rid of the extra information. So my references are Picciano, and this one has to do with the multimodal that you saw earlier in the recording. And then where I pulled a lot of my information was from Brain, when she talked specifically about how to use videos in learning. And a lot of the tips I got was, again, from a website that Professor Marlo Steed shared with me, that has to do with new media design, that has a lot of really great resources on there. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope you give it a shot. It's actually been fun trying to figure out how Zoom works, and I hope you think more about how you're using the webcam in the future. All right, have a lovely day.